Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business builder, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $10 million a year. All right. We're on episode 135. Today is February 15th, 2024. We're on the second week of the month, and that means that we get to dive a little bit deeper on this episode. We're going to be talking today more about Agile strategy and giving you some better examples of how that all works. But first of all, let's dig into our books. 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. That's an awesome book by Steve Siebold. We'll be borrowing one of the quotes for this week's quote section. 9-Figure Mindset by Brandon Dawson, and we'll be covering a little bit about Objections, the book by Jeb Blunt. In fact, I want to go ahead and read some information from it. This is really actually very good. It comes from within the book. I'm going to borrow pieces of it here. One of the first points is when you choose a career in sales, you are signing up to seek out rejection. Seeking out rejection is not natural for humans. In the sales profession, to get what you want, you must ask for what you want. And when you ask for things, people are going to tell you no. I mean, come on, that's pretty simple, right? The only way to avoid getting rejected is to never ask. Therefore, to be successful, you must gain the discipline to ask and the skills for getting past no. Now, he goes in a little bit further here, and there are some other pieces of this, but specifically he digs into the rejection side, and I think that's important. He said, objections are not rejection, but they feel like rejection. Rejection triggers your fight or flight response, releasing a wave of disruptive emotions, fear, insecurity, doubt, and attachment. These emotions happen without your consent and can derail you in sales conversations. Whoever exerts the greatest amount of emotional control has the highest probability of getting the outcome they desire. Therefore, to bend the probability of a win in your favor, you must rise above and gain control of your disruptive emotions. Now, that's great information. And it helps us to kind of keep in mind that as we're doing sales, because everything we're doing at some point or another is we're selling somebody or we're delivering to somebody. As we see this part of the process of delivering on what you need to deliver on. Now, under the quotes section, this is by Bill Gove. This came from 177 Mental Toughness Secrets. And this week's quote that I want to borrow is, gratitude is the aristocrat of all the emotions. And I would very much agree with that, because gratitude, when you start a day with gratitude, you're grateful for the things that are happening for you. Not necessarily the things that are happening to you, but the things that are happening for you. Remember, we attract what we focus on. Therefore, if we're focusing on lack, we're going to have a lack. If we're focusing on gratitude, we're going to arrive at situations that we can be grateful for. Big deal, big difference here. I mean, when you start putting gratitude as your first part of the day, things are going to really take off for you. You're going to find that when you have an attitude of gratitude, the gratitude will come back to you. This week on our business strategies, I'm going to break in here and talk a little bit about, again, the Agile strategy. Now, last week we covered a little bit about this. We said that Agile strategy focuses on adaptability and responsiveness to change. It's also structured planning with the capacity to pivot or adjust as needed based on new information, market conditions, or customer feedback. Now, what structured planning is sequence change. That we covered that last month. So this month we're pulling forward and looking at what we can do to give ourselves an edge in not just having everything planned out and we're completely caught off guard when something goes sideways on us. So last week we talked about Agile strategy as being sales. Sales being a great example. You have to loop. You have to go back and cover information again. You have to keep things flexible because you don't know what the other person is going to take. Today we're going to dig into 3 different examples of Agile strategy. The first one being the most common, the most popular, but the idea here is we want to transition from sequence chains into a flexible system involving the breaking down of large monolithic processes into smaller, manageable pieces. This allows for continuous evaluation and adjustment, and that ensures that strategies remain aligned with current objectives and market conditions. The idea is we want to work from a position of improvement. So by focusing on frequent, incremental situations that we can deal with and introducing feedback loops, we are capable of creating much better functionality within our business. The typical example of an Agile strategy is product development, right? And the traditional approach is, a linear sequential process known as the waterfall model. This is especially for software development, but also any kind of functional development. The process is rigid, with each phase, concept, design, build, test, release, completed in isolation before moving on to the next. With Agile, it changes to an iterative development where products are developed in small increments. It allows for frequent reassessment and adaptation of plans. Because if you can build a small thing and test it and it fails, you don't build this big, huge, gargantuan thing and find out at the end, and then you got to go back trace and find out what's going on. Agile transformation, especially in product development, shifts from a sequence chain to a flexible system, incorporating regular feedback loops with stakeholders. So we're getting feedback from the people that are making a difference here, the ones that this is actually for. And that enables quick responses to change, especially when market demands or technology advancements occur. There's a couple of other areas where Agile strategies are used very commonly. We talked about sales, so this shouldn't be surprising that we talk about marketing. Now, traditionally, marketing involved long-term planning based on predictions and analysis of market trends. The campaigns were designed and executed in their entirety before the reaction from the target audience was measured. And this is something that I recommend a lot of people when they're first beginning their business. You talk to people. You find out what their problems are. You don't go at them with a solution to a problem you think is right. You go to them with questions and you find out, is there something in particular that they're looking for? And see, if you develop that process and it's way off base, you're going to have a problem. But in an Agile transformation, campaigns are broken down into smaller, manageable segments that allow teams to test ideas in short bursts. You might just send out to 500 people a quick email to get their thoughts on something or a quick survey, and then you get it back. Maybe you call them, maybe you talk with them, or maybe they just send it back to you. And the idea is you want to evaluate the performance and adapt as necessary. This method fosters a culture of continuous improvement, very important, and adaptability, moving away from rigid long-term planning to a more dynamic, results-oriented strategy that somebody can quickly pivot based on real-time feedback and analytics. Now, we've had sales, we've had marketing, we've had product development. Here's one that a lot of people don't quite see as being an agile strategy, but it very much is. Human resources. Hiring people. Originally and traditionally, they were often set in stone for a process. They'd have annual reviews, fixed training programs, long recruitment cycles. It was very inflexible. And, when things change in a company, that makes it very difficult. Everybody has to know in advance what it is that they want, and then people can go and get it and, pain in the rear, right? If we take that from an agile transformation point of view, now we're introducing continuous feedback loops, flexible learning, and adaptive workforce planning. So rather than annual performance reviews, ongoing feedback, and development discussions, they help in promptly addressing performative issues. And the recruitment process becomes more iterative, allowing for adjustments in hiring strategies based on immediate organizational needs and the changing labor market. After all, the labor market can change very quickly. Just look what the Great Resignation has done. A lot of people have just looked at their jobs and went, yeah, done with that, goodbye, and walked away from essentially a career, because the problems that are going on in the world do not reflect what's happening inside the business. And so you get this cognitive dissonance of what I see and what I want or what I experience. And when that dissonance occurs, you have to figure out what you're going to do about it. And by going with an agile transformation, it allows HR to move from a sequence of predefined steps to a more responsive, employee-centered approach. And when people are moving from career to career, HR has to understand how that is going and why that's occurring, and then make adjustments for that. We're going to go ahead and kind of cut this a little bit short today, but I really wanted to kind of go into these business strategies of Agile and look at these pieces and say, this is something that we really have to deal with, and we ourselves have to get really creative in how we're going through and doing the pieces of our process. We want frequent pieces, and we want feedback loops. We want to institute feedback loops that tell us frequently what is going on, what's happening in our business. And it doesn't really make any difference what kind of a business you have. You want to do all of that. That's the purpose here of the Agile strategy. Next month, we're going to get into first principles, which is going to take a look at how do you assess what else is going on when you have no idea. Keep in mind, sequence chains are simply, here's the way we do it. Agile strategies are, let's adapt to what is happening in the world. But what happens if your process is broken and you have no idea what you could do? That's where first principles kick in. So that's for next month, but I wanted to kind of wrap this up today. Wishing you the best in your health, your wealth, your business, your family, everything about you. Take care. Have a great week.